Hello again. The Mussolini of Russia. Vladimir Putin will go down in Russian history as a corrupt, incompetent, failed dictator. His name will be mocked and used by politicians all over the world when they're attacking their opponents. To start with, he destroyed Russian democracy. For almost its entire history, Russia has been ruled by cruel leaders. The Tsars ruled from 1547 to 1917. The Communists from 1917 to 1991. Joseph Stalin, who ruled by terror from 1929 to 1953, was the second biggest mass murderer in history behind Mao of China, but ahead of Adolf Hitler. They also had Ivan the Terrible, Vladimir Lenin, Tsar Nicholas, and many other evil men in charge. The Russian people never had individual liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, or the right to a fair trial. They had rule by terror, gulags, and a police state where the borders were closed. Then the Russian people briefly had democracy. Putin took it away. During his reign, Putin and his oligarch friends have looted Russia. Despite being extremely rich in natural resources with an educated workforce, almost 1/4 of the people of the Russian Federation don't have running water. The invasion of Ukraine, which was supposed to be over in less than 2 weeks, has been a catastrophe. Casualties are around 500,000 to 600,000. But the evil dictator has no regard for his own troops. Economically, it's been a disaster. Putin ruined the great pipeline gas Russia had with Western European countries. The European Commission's target is to stop these imports entirely by 2028. Brilliant. He destroyed the business the Russians had with their best customers. Now, make no mistake, Russia's still making huge profits from their energy business, but not nearly as much as they did before Putin's war. There's other countries that they're selling to, but even if Russia's energy export volume returned to pre-war levels, revenues will never fully recover. The routes they have to take are longer and more expensive. Currently, China and India are taking advantage of Vlad's incompetence and buying Russian oil at a big discount. Inflation in Russia is currently at 9.1%, food inflation at 9.7%, and interest rates are 18%, and though all will stay high as long as Putin's war continues. The Western sanctions are hurting Russia. Slowly but steadily, they lag further behind technologically and their economy becomes less competitive. The sanctions have prevented Russia from developing offshore energy projects, especially those hard-to-reach deposits. Putin has already caused about 1 million people to leave the country. Worse yet, most are young and educated. This exodus of talented and skilled workers, especially in the tech sector, has further hurt Russia's ability to compete. Just one disaster after another. The war with Ukraine is unwinnable. As it drags on, Putin's popularity will continue to decline as the Russian people get tired of the war without end in the Donbass. And to make matters worse, Putin and his generals were completely caught off guard by the Kursk offensive. Russia was invaded for the first time since World War II, and now there are about 133,000 refugees that need to be taken care of. A humiliation for the Russian dictator. Putin is lucky Joe Biden is so incompetent. The clueless commander-in-chief refuses to let Ukraine use U.S. weapons to conduct long-range strikes into Russia. There are at least 250 military and paramilitary objects within range of U.S.-provided ATACMS missiles. But the inept Biden won't let the Ukrainians take them out with U.S.-made weapons. However, President Zelensky has set a goal for 1 million Ukrainian drones made in 2025. They have been damaging targets inside Russia, and now Ukraine has a new long-range drone they can use without permission from anyone. The Ukrainians have ramped up long-range strikes inside Russia over the past few months, launching scores of drones simultaneously at strategic targets. Ukrainian firms are now producing hundreds of attack drones a month at a fraction of the cost it takes to produce a similar drone in the West. Some are made of wood and are being assembled in former furniture factories in Ukraine. The bayonet drone costs a few $1,000s, In contrast, Russian missiles used to shoot it down can cost more than $1 million. So, long-range strikes on oil facilities and other targets inside Russia, the Kursk offensive, all this is showing ordinary Russians that Putin can't defend them fully, and that Russia is vulnerable. When the war in Ukraine is finally over, some sanctions will continue, including those against companies and individuals. Now, there could be dramatic changes within Russia. Putin has no successor, so what kind of transition of power will there be? Will it be peaceful? Are they going to have a violent revolution like they did with Tsar Nicholas? Or one like they did when the Soviet Union fell apart? There are 21 republics in the Russian Federation, so conceivably there could be 21 new countries. Realistically, there would be less. Regardless of how it ends, long after Putin is gone from power, future Russian leaders will blame him for all of Russia's ills. His name will be mocked and cursed. Vladimir Putin is a tragic failure and will go down in Russian history like Mussolini is in Italy.